Hey, greetings, Noble CFOs. This is the last video on the values and the values that sit on the foundation of stewardship. That doesn't mean that there aren't other values you live out, but these have been the 5 key values that I have built my career on, and I've developed the Noble CFO system on. This last value that I'm going to talk about is valuing the individual. This I call the Shalom leader. You may recognize the word shalom. The shalom leader brings peace to the business, peace to the community. You're building community within the organization. You do that by valuing the individual, whether it's a business owner, whether it's your accounting team, or whether it's someone within the organization. You're looking at, how do I build that community? Well, I do that by valuing each individual. It doesn't matter what position they're at. They are valued to the organization. They are valued as an individual. Leaders see the organization holistically as both an economic enterprise and a human system. So as a CFO, the tendency is to come in and just look at this organization simply from an economic perspective. But a Shalom leader looks at the organization holistically. It is an economic venture, absolutely, but it is also a human system. You work harmoniously with others in mutually beneficial interaction. That can be money, that can be relationships. The Shalom leader does all that they can do in ways that bring both self and others satisfaction and peace. I've been known in many organizations I've worked with, when art comes into the room or begins having an impact in what's going on, there's a level of anxiety that drops. They feel the peace in the organization because that's who I am. They feel it, they understand it, and they sense it. You can bring fulfillment and joy. That can be found by the average worker all around the world by giving him or her the ability to make important and critical business decisions. The worker whose job is most impacted by a decision should be the one making the decision. There's several books that I've read. Joy at Work by Dennis Baki is probably the one that had the greatest impact on me. He really understood that concept. You could have a very flat organization because each individual should be able to make the decision that has the greatest impact on their work. Now, that doesn't mean they shouldn't get input, they can't be held accountable, but because they are closest to how this decision is going to impact the organization, we give them an opportunity to make a decision. They might fail, they might not. It might be a great decision. But guess what? Every CEO has made bad decisions and they make good decisions, right? So we're just saying, look, we understand that decisions might not always turn out the way we want them to, but that doesn't mean that they shouldn't be allowed to make those decisions. Again, the CEO doesn't always make good decisions either. So that is really valuing the individual within that organization, giving them the opportunity to make decisions, to have an influence in what's happening in that organization. And this is another one that's very intentional. You have to think about when you're talking with somebody, you're communicating with somebody, they have to sense that you value their opinion, you value what they have to say, you value them as an individual, you value their role in that organization. These values are not always easy to live up to. I have failed in each one of these at times, but the intent is that I'm going to follow these values. And if you join me on this journey of becoming a Noble CFO, not only am I going to encourage you to do that, to live out those values, I'm going to challenge you to be thinking intentionally about how you are living out those values within your practice. Thank you so much for listening through these series of stewardship and values. I'm going to talk a little bit in future videos about the system. If you become a Noble CFO, these are the expectations, the stewardship and the values. But what is really the system that you would plug into that allow you to be a successful, flourishing fractional CFO within the Noble CFO system? I look forward to having you join me on this journey, and let's transform our communities. Let's transform this world by being a Noble CFO. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll keep talking and keep pressing forward.